Hello and welcome to This Time Africa, right here in the studios of Africa Today. As you know, this is the platform where we talk about African businesses, African entrepreneurs, investments, our culture, our beauty, everything in the dish of Africa. We bring it right here on This Time Africa. But the question is, what's on this time? All right. So welcome again. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with somebody as the clock turns to the Democratic Republic of Congo. And this is Andjelo, who is the president of YADI right here in the United States of America. But I want to talk to Mr. Andjelo about politics and much more. Welcome, Andjelo, to the show.
Welcome, Dr. Banga.
How are you?
I am doing very well.
I have been looking forward to this meeting. And I'm so glad that you are here. We are going to talk about you and the diaspora and other things, but I want to start by saying congratulations. Now we have a new name that we hear in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC as people call it. So we are now hearing Felix Antoine Tshisekedi after what is being described as an historic transfer of power. Amidst conflicts and all kinds of things that were happening there. So congratulations. What's up for DRC? What do you think? What's the hope?
Well, the hope is there. This is a first step towards something great. We're looking forward to it. And we are just, as a Congolese diaspora, we just look at things under observation.
I like that, but I mean, what's the response of the people either here or or back home? What's the response?
I can talk more about the diaspora. The diaspora.
Let's talk about it then.
Is more of let's see how things goes, because so far what we're hearing, we don't see the transfer of power being done properly. So we're waiting.
All right. So as far as the diaspora is more like, let's wait and see game that you are playing. Well, normally I think with African politics, that's always the way it is, because things don't expect to turn around immediately, but we all just wait and see. But I wanted to ask in particular, why is it, in my opinion, that African leaders take so long to hand over power? Before we talk about you, I just wanted to throw that out.
Oh, African, it's just that they're not used to it.
They're not used to
the
system, the structure.
Yeah, we had kingdoms, so they just want the kingdom to come back. We're kings. You remain in power forever. That's what we used to. The Western world is the one who brought us the system of so-called democracy. The democracy that you have in the Western world cannot be applied to Africa.
Wow, this is something that I would like to debate with you on. Maybe I need to bring some other people to debate. Are you for the kingdom or are you for democracy?
Hey, you can go to England, you see how it works. You have a prime minister and you have the kingdom. Well, you go to Spain, you see it. You go to Belgium, you have it too. So it's still around. Well,
guess what? I'm going to have some people on the show probably next week, and I would need you to come because this is very debatable. I thought we were moving away from the kingdom. But let's talk about Andjelo. You are the president and the founder, I guess, of YADI. Can you tell us?
The founder, not the president.
You're the founder.
We're still seeking for a president.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about YADI.
So YADI stands for Young African Diaspora Initiative. Okay. It's basically an initiative that has been put together for the young, no young in the sense of youngs.
Age.
So it's more than a sense of someone who came here at a young age, came to America. We're talking specifically about North America. Someone who came here at a very young age or someone who was born here. So we're talking about African descent. People of African descent who can bring something new to Africa. So we feel like the younger you come here, the better tools that you can equip yourself with the right skill sets, even financially. you can bring something, a plus to Africa. So the average people who came here at a younger age are making an average of $80,000 a year. So that's where we come in.
And you think that will influence change?
We think that the skill sets, the mindset, the business ethics, the working ethics, all those things are needed in Africa right now.
Yeah, and I don't know what your thoughts are about this, but a lot of people seem to believe that those Africans or diasporans that came here when they were much younger have a different mindset, a different thought pattern in the way things, politics or other things have been handled than probably others that came here. I don't want to say me, but others that came here when they were like in their 30s. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are very simple. The ones who came here at a very young age have a lot of leverage. A leverage that they came into a system at a young age and they picked up on the right things to, we're talking about United States.
Yeah.
Militarily powerful, economically powerful. So we need to learn from the best.
Yep.
And I think Africa needs it.
I mean, I quite agree with you that the earlier you start, even just dealing with kids, the earlier you start to, imbibe in them good things or policies or developmental issues, I think the better they are when they grow up. So how are you able to get your membership for Yadi?
The membership is simple. Right now, the membership is structured in a way that we giving the people of African descent, we call it access, we call it insight, and we call it connections. So we give access, like right now we give access to funding, access to bringing your project to the table, access to understanding Africa business, social life, economic, financial, healthcare, every aspect, but we focus more on everything other than the culture, because we feel like the culture is already there. So connection here on the ground in the diaspora so that they can better themselves and be ready to go help the others.
All right, so insight to, so you give them access and the connection, and then insight to what?
Insight to the key players on the ground. So if they need the key players here in the U.S., like right now we have a program where you can, we can get you a job at the major companies in the U.S., where we're working with a lot of African descent, people of African descent executives. So we can leverage with the connections that we have. And we have opened doors to our members depending on the level of membership. We only have 2 levels, and then they can get access to the executive level connections. Wow,
that's amazing. So how long has Yadi been around again?
Yadi has been around officially, what's today's date? The 25th is coming. So the 25th will be 2 years, officially 2 years, but in my head it's been around since 1998.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So
everything went to the book about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it started, taking effect. That's very amazing. I'm wondering how, what has been the reception? How are people been receptive about Yadi? I'm saying this because there are several other young organizations, diaspora organizations. How are you different?
We stand out because we are unique. Nobody has ever thought about differentiating the age pattern. What we were talking about earlier. Before your 18th anniversary, if you have not landed in the US, you have people that have 85% of the people who come to the US after age 18, they don't emerge. They don't put themselves into the US system to understand it, to maneuver it properly. So most of the one that comes before age 18, they are, like, I'll say 85% of them, they are able to do things in a way that is really needed for us people of African descent. so we can better ourselves, especially social economically, because that's what we're missing. Culturally, yeah, we have great culture, and even the piece that we're missing, even with our culture, we don't know how to sell our culture. So we have to be strong socially and economically.
I mean, I can't agree with you more, because I think 90% of the people that I talk to or interview, I talk about socioeconomic empowerment. I think it's so vital. It's such a great ingredient that we cannot look away from. If we want to improve ourselves, if we want to be better and strengthen the ties, or probably even think of going back home, I think economically we have to be strong.
Sure, I agree with you.
We have to be really strong. So are you working in partnership with any other organizations, or?
We open to working with everyone. We work with the AU, the African Union, this as our #1 partner. And we get a lot of, like you're talking about, insight, connections, and access through Dr. Arikana, Her Excellency Dr. Arikana Chambori. We got a lot of work done, and even with DIP, which you are the president.
Yes, and yeah. I am so glad that we partner, because we cannot do these things in isolation. I know that most times people say Africans, not to sound negative, but they always say that African organizations or people don't work together. I don't know if what's your thoughts about that, but I'm glad that we work together, and we work together very well.
Washington, D.C. has changed things.
That's great.
When you don't talk about Africa in D.C., they're not gonna open your doors. The doors are not open for you.
So in effect, you're saying, when you don't talk about oneness, about unity, about working together to make sure that the vision is accomplished, the goal is accomplished, when you don't talk about it, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, right now, really, Africans, we need to trust each other. Trust is to a certain extent. We loosely use that word trust, but trust to a certain extent. And also we need to have some awareness. I feel like I'm originally from the DR Congo, but it seems like a lot of Africans don't understand what's really going on in the DRC. We don't take the time to exchange. And lastly, we are not really coming together financially to make ourselves very strong and a financial power, like the Indians, like the Jewish that we know, like other communities.
So we need to talk about that. Hold your thought right there, because I want us to come back and talk about trust and how the other communities differ from ours, and probably we're taking baby steps. But we'll be right back. I'm here in the studios with my dear friend Andjelo Shetty. He is from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and we are talking business, we're talking diaspora, and we're talking coming together and making a viable diaspora community. We'll be right back. Welcome back to This Time Africa. And of course, we're in the studio of Africa today, and we are talking to Mr. Andjelo Shati, who is from the DRC. Jambo, is that what they say? How do they say welcome in Swahili?
I don't know.
But I want to welcome you again, and we're talking about the African community and the businesses and all. But I know that you did not start as a community activist. What's your background?
My background is electrical and computer engineering, and also engineering management.
Electrical engineering and management. How did that translate into being involved in the community?
Involved in the community.
I mean, like, what inspired you? What's your motivation?
Always been motivated. I just went into engineering because I love the challenge.
Okay.
Because everything else in college was easy for me. So I like to go, I love the challenge. I like to go into something and then come out with it with a resistance and challenge. Everything that makes it, I have to feel the struggle. I love that.
So you love challenges.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what was your motivation about coming into community involvement and creating an organization? What are the things? What inspired you?
It's just a lot of thinking, observations.
Okay.
I observe.
Let's talk a little bit about it.
How would I say? It goes back to in the 90s. The 90s. I said to myself when I came to the state, I said, okay, I'm not gonna be too much around the African community to understand America. So, like our parents used to tell us, hey, listen, don't spend too much time with Black Americans. So I did the opposite. I went and sat down with them, understand why they are that way, and then realized that we need something like that came to be as Yadi, that even it meets all the AU, what AU's been talking about, bringing the people home. So we all have to go home and then make the change.
That's correct. That's correct. So what do you think are the issues that are important to our diaspora community, in particular the African diaspora? What are the issues that we should be talking about? What are the issues we should be addressing?
We need to address a lot of issues, but the few that I can pick is, like I was saying earlier, trust, awareness, and financial, which goes with social economic stability. So let's talk about the trust. We don't trust each other as far as doing business among each other. That's one thing that we need to change that.
You're saying that African businesses or African people don't trust each other to do business. That they will leave an African business that is here and go to probably, let me just say, for instance, a Hispanic or Indian business that does the same thing. Is that what you're talking about?
That's correct. Like I'll give you a good example. The United States of America today will not, when it comes to the professional, if you want to get any form of working visa in the US, you have to prove to the US government as an employer that I need to employ that person, outsider, to the state, because I cannot find that skill set. So it's the same thing referring to our community. First, you have to come to someone within the community. If you don't have a person who can do that work, then you can go to an Indian guy, to a Jewish guy, to anybody else. That's my opinion.
And exactly, that's your opinion. And I think I see that in some quarters where I am expecting people to patronize, I should say the word patronize, more African businesses, and we don't all do the same. Why is that? And how can we change it?
Changing is simple. It's just, I think the key to all of those things that I'm going to be talking about is that piece of Yadi. If you want to get anything done, just get your children or your grandchildren to approach any of those Africans, they will do it. But if you go to them, they will not do it with you.
You know, I agree with you, because my daughter said something the other day, like, and she was saying this in a very sassy way, and I'm going to say the same sassy way. She said, like, all of those people over 50, they're just so different, man. I mean, our age is going to be something different. I mean, I don't know the way you adults think and you adults say. You know, she said something in that light. She may not have said it the way you put it, but I hear it in my house. Like, things are different. So the way they are thinking is different, because they are growing up in a different atmosphere where the mindset is different. The mindset is different. People are open to learn.
And I'll give you an example. Me, I saw it by doing it. I used to own a small entertainment company when I was in college. In Charlotte, North Carolina, I was the first one to be able to gather in a party African American, African not only from the DRC, from 80 other countries, and even some white folks and Latinos at the party. That's what we can do. When I say we, the one who came here at a very young age or born here, we're able to do that. But I see a lot of Africans, when they own a business in America, they only advertise that business not only to Africans but to their specific country. You're gonna see a Cameroonian restaurant, they're only expecting Cameroonians to come there. You're gonna see an Ivorian restaurant, Côte d'Ivoire, they only talk. The first thing that people that we need to target as customers is the majority of the population of the United States of America. Caucasian, Latinos, and then African Americans. Africans should be the last one on your list when you are bringing something cultural to the American society.
If you want to succeed.
That's correct.
If you want to succeed, I think. So that's why we break these barriers, like what you and I are doing. We break the barrier. Africa Today is doing this. We break the barrier. We entertain anybody. Africans, African businesses, African partnerships, you know, have a voice here on TV, because we all make it possible for us to succeed. And I like that mindset. I like that we can think that way. I am very much into an open global mindset thing.
Because you're a Yadi.
All right, I can't mean that. So we're talking about trust and awareness, raising awareness. Raising awareness would be the second thing about the issues that we must address in the community.
The person who's doing it so well these days about awareness is my very good friend, my mom. I call her Mama. Her Excellency Dr. Arikana Shambori Kwao. Awareness, she takes you back to 1884 up to today. And she does it in 10 to 15 minutes. And she does it so well. We need to know that history of ours, about Africa, how the African Union came about, all those people who fought in the 50s and early 60s, to get us where we are. But we're not there yet.
But we're striving towards it.
Yeah.
We are definitely striving towards it. So do you think diversity is appropriately addressed in, we all live in the DMV area. Do you think diversity probably is appropriately addressed in this area?
Diversity? Addressed in which sense?
As far as embracing all colors, do we have the same opportunities from different communities? Do you think that we all share the same opportunities? Or is it just that we are not taking chances or taking hold of the opportunities that are presented to us?
When it comes to opportunities for the African people of African descent, I think it's up to us. It's always there. You create opportunities. I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. So what you do, you come up with solutions. We have tendency to stick with the problem. We people of African descent. So we need to look into solutions. And solutions create opportunities. That's what we have to do.
Okay, so give us an example of a solution.
Example of a solution. Plenty of them.
Give us one.
Give you one. Oof. A good one is That's a very good question.
What would be a good solution? What would be number one solution?
The solution is about the money.
Okay.
Today, people have so many projects and they need money. And some people have solved some problems, but they don't know how to present it. That's another. Actually, let's start with that. Not even the money. You might have a solution, but you don't know how to sell it, how to present it.
So why do we have you in Diaspora International platform? Because you are the strategist. You are the one who can talk. So I brought the ideas and I give it to you, and you go and you sell it. So let them take. Yeah, that's a good system, don't you think?
Yeah, but guess what? We're going back to the part that some people don't want to pay for the service because they think that they have to go back to up to Washington D.C. to talk to a Jewish guy, okay, who knows better than Matilda or knows better than Andjelo. That's the problem. So we need to change that.
We need to change that. So the other day, you and I were talking, and we spoke about, you know, how the president of Sierra Leone just appointed an ambassador to the United States of America, somebody who spent most of his life here studying the system, studying the structure. And so now that he's been appointed as ambassador, he's able to understand not just his people, but also the way the system of America works. How you were telling me something about that, and you say you think that this is something that needs to be, you know, probably copied by other countries.
Definitely. I think not only in America, but this has to be done all over the world, and more specifically when it comes to all the 15 or the 20 most powerful countries in the world, militarily and economically. So we need to adopt the system where we go to Russia. Let's say if Sierra Leone wants to have a Russian ambassador to set in Russia. So they need someone who speaks Russian well, who went to school in Russia.
I know somebody who speaks Russian very well.
Yeah, but went to school in Russia, worked in Russia, has really been able to do some sort of community service, you know, or a business in Russia. You know, because it's very important. I can tell the difference when we usually go home to any African countries. They tell me, oh, they showed me a guy. I say, oh, that person has been in America. Just by talking to them in a few, I can tell this person only came to America for college education and went back home. Or some of them, they come for college and they do a little job on the side. And some of them, they even go farther. They work professionally, and even furthermore, they become an entrepreneur, and furthermore, they own a business, a major business, or just work for a major company. Those are different levels.
Okay.
So what I'm saying here, for the African countries, they need to have people who not only went to school, but worked in those countries, but have started something on their own in those countries.
And not just because they belong to the tribe or the region from which the leader or that people come.
Definitely not. They need to stop that. That needs to change.
That needs to change. So what's the way forward for Andjelo? What is it that will happen in Andjelo's life, and Andjelo will say, I feel like I have done something. What is it? What is it that you're waiting for to happen? That would be your aha moment.
The aha moment is me going to the continent and start converting villages to small cities or small towns. Converting villages to towns. That's correct.
Okay. And you have the plan already, I'm sure, in your head as to how that is
in my head already. Have a good mentor. You know, it's that's something that we're gonna be talking about very soon about that. So yeah.
All right, we will talk something about that. That will be your aha moment when Andjelo sees that he's able to translate villages into cities and towns. That's how he's going to be. That's his aha moment. Well, I thank you. This is where we drop the curtain for today. I am here in the studio again with Andjelo Shetty from DRC, a great friend of mine who understands, works as a community activist and does a lot of stuff in the diaspora, but especially the founder of YADI. Well, Once again, this is This Time Africa, and I'm your host, Sia Matilda Banga. But don't you forget, go on YouTube and check us out. Also download the app africtoday.com, and also check us out on www.africtoday.com. Check us out also on Facebook. Hey, we are everywhere. Do you have news? You want to make news? Call us. We are available for you. This is how we bring the curtain down again. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.